Imagine she is great, smart, funny, emotionally connected, but you found out from a reliable source that she cheated in her last relationship. She sort of mentioned messy stuff in the past, but never came clean about it. Would you look past it or walk away? Story 1. A long time ago, I dated a woman just like this. It was great, but then she left me for another man. I had known she had cheated before, but she said she had learned her lesson. I was a wreck for a long time. People say what does not kill you makes you stronger, but honestly, I think I would have been better off if I had never been with her. Do not get into a serious relationship with this woman. Story 2. Personally, I could not be with a cheater. I could never trust them with complete certainty, which is not the kind of relationship I want. Story 3. Cheating is not about the relationship. It is about the person who cheats. No amount of sex with another person solves any issue in a relationship. It solves the desire to be with someone else. That is a choice, actually several choices, to flirt, seduce, touch, escalate, go somewhere private, undress, kiss, and have sex. Each step is an opportunity to stop and make a different choice. At each stage, she chose to continue. If she cheats, she is not great, smart, funny, or emotionally connected. She is selfish, deceitful, untrustworthy, and emotionally unempathetic because those traits are required to cheat. Just because someone appears a certain way publicly does not mean they are that way privately. The best way to judge a person is by their actions. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Story 4. It depends. How recent was this past relationship? Did she take full ownership of her role in cheating with no excuses? Was the cheating a one-time occurrence, multiple times, or an affair? Is she still in contact with the men she cheated with? Is she still in contact with her boyfriend? Story 5. Well, in this scenario, she never admitted being in the wrong. This would be different if she owned it, but as it is described here, I would keep it moving. The best predictor for future behavior is past behavior. Since she did not make an effort to change, there is no reason to assume she did. Story 6. I would not expect her to be faithful in a relationship with me, or I would assure myself she would not cheat again and prepare for when I am inevitably wrong. Story 7. In almost all cases I have run through, it generally comes out as a void. I am not sure how the information came up. Asking for proof about them changing will always result in a yes, so it is pointless to ask. The only time this would likely be okay is if you never know, as she changed so much she just does not talk about her history. You may only find out 10 years in a truth or lie kind of game. Either way, for me, I would likely avoid. I am okay with the view that people change, but I cannot find any way to find this out that would be reliable, as there will always be a chance they are lying. Story 8. Past performance is generally considered a strong predictor of future performance. Human resources. Story 9. There are people doing mental gymnastics to excuse themselves from their cheating behavior. If you lie or hide the truth from your partner because you know they would not approve of what you are doing outside your relationship, it is cheating. If you resent your spouse and consider the relationship over but have not had the courage to inform them and let them believe everything is fine, you are a cheater. You think you know people, but you truly do not. Many people, especially cheaters, have little to no problem lying to get what they want. If they think they can get away with it, keep the comfort of home and the thrill of something new and forbidden, they will do it. What you do not know will hurt them, but people with actual integrity are not cheaters. It is enough that they themselves would know. That is the kind of character people should look for in a partner. So no, if she cheated in the past, I am not taking that chance. It is all about character. It has nothing to do with whether they are willing to risk losing what they have now or not. I would not cheat on my wife because I would not want to hurt her like that. How about you would not cheat on your wife because that is not in your character? You would not tell a woman to date a man who beat his ex-wife. Oh, he is changed. He is a different person now. He was really young and stupid. He only hit her because she was not satisfying him. Story 10. I am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and talk to them to hear what they have to say, especially if they mention difficult issues in the past. You gain nothing by speculating on second-hand information or conducting your own investigation. Alternatively, you may decline by saying, Thank you, but no thank you. The choice is yours. Story 11. I think people can generally change, and there is no situation where cheating is the answer. However, I would not discount her as a person altogether. I know people who have grown through being unfaithful and changed for the better. That being said, there are definitely going to be signs and symptoms that will tell you if she has not changed. Just make sure you keep your eyes open. She should earn your trust through actions. Just because you are starting a new relationship does not make her trustworthy right away, especially if you just met her. I have said it before, but there is a common misconception that trust is something you give from the start of a relationship. That is not true. Trust is earned, so do not forget that. You would not trust any other person you just met immediately, so the same should apply. Saying you are just being insecure is not the response of someone who cares enough to make you comfortable trusting them. Story 12. I am out of there. If you will cheat on someone, you will cheat on someone else. If she deliberately hid it, that shows she does not actually regret it. She just does not want to own up to it. Story 13. I remember reaching a point in a relationship where I was seriously considering when to ask her out. We were constantly flirting and had hooked up, so asking her out was more about making it official. Then I found out she was cheating on someone with me. At first, I felt proud, thinking hell yeah. But after a day or two, I became disgusted with the ego I had formed and the fact that she was cheating. We met, and I no longer found her as attractive as before. I ended our situationship and told her I wasn't comfortable with it anymore. Story 14. With how you phrased this question and going by the euphemistic way you describe yourself, I would be more than wary. Now, if you came clean about it after talking for a while and seemed genuinely regretful, I would take it as a painful lesson. I would still be careful, but it would not be an immediate no. People do not tend to change very quickly unless it hurts badly. Story 15. No, it's different if she confesses to it, admits she was terrible for it, and that it is inexcusable. That would mean it's no longer her behavior, and she would never do it again. Maybe. If she hides it from me, I'm out. Run, dog. Story 16. She did not come clean about it. She is still hiding things and is not a reliable person. She owns it. I would be interested in hearing the context and what she has done to improve herself, but it is unlikely that I would still be as attracted to her. Story 17. I think that is a very simplistic binary question that misses a lot of the nuance that makes this an important consideration. There is a big difference between making out with a guy at a high school party and spending 2 years secretly visiting hotel rooms while married. Story 18. Pass, especially if she won't clarify the complicated issues from the past. If you cannot at least be honest about it and tell me what happened, then it is a definite and easy no from me. Story 19. I believe that people can change. The question is, has she changed? For example, there is a difference between I have a messy past and I messed up and cheated in the past. Story 20. Yes, that depends. I am a reformed sinner. I have done it all. For some ungodly reason, I have a beautiful wife who has reformed and trained me. So I can assure you people change. I think time and accountability are two very important factors here. I would bring it up to her. There is a chance she might address your situation on her own, but it is better that you get it out of the way. Story 21. I dated a woman who was very upfront early on. She wanted me to know right away so I could choose to leave if I wanted without getting too involved. She explained what happened, why it occurred, that she greatly regretted it, but would understand if I wanted to leave. I needed time to process and think. I talked to a counselor who specializes in relationships. She said the difference here is that she was open very early in our relationship and openly regretted it. She said it would be worth the risk. And it has been. That being said, since you heard it from someone else, and I am not sure how long you have been together, the fact you had to hear it from someone else would give me great pause and likely make me want to leave. I would talk to her first and find out about it directly. Story 22. Well, that new information would definitely redefine my attraction and interest in her to non-existent. Story 23. I think the distinction of cheated in her last relationship versus has cheated in the past is important here. This is not a reformed person who went through serious self-reflection. This is someone who just cheated and refuses to be honest with you about it. I would say pass, but if you are unsure, ask her how she views cheating, cheaters, if she has ever cheated, what she would do if she was cheated on, and what she considers cheating. Story 24. It depends on how old she was when she did it. Cheating after 22 years old is diabolical, but people can definitely change and grow after being young and inexperienced. Story 25. I believe the dating pool should have an infinitely high wall built between the parts of the population who have cheated and the rest. They can have each other. And yes, I include the people who claim we never talked about being exclusive as a way to cope with their dishonesty. Story 26. Unfortunately, as much as I want to say people can change, the statistics show cheaters generally cheat again in future relationships. Could she be one of the few who doesn't? Maybe, but I would rather not be the one to test it out. Not the odds I would want to bet on. Story 27. I am not going to hold someone's past against them. If you cheated at 17, it does not mean you will do it at 28. Story 28. I'm not going to lie, it would definitely be a stain on my character as it would lead to suspicion. However, people can learn and improve. I would discuss it, be open, listen to the full story, and see if they have actually learned or are just shifting all the blame. There is more to it, but I would assess that. If they have learned, moved on, and recognized that it was perhaps the wrong thing to do, I can accept that. We have all made questionable choices in our pasts. Story 29. I would address it. The likelihood that doing so will be well received or resolve your concerns is low, but without addressing it, the chances are zero. Story 30. It is definitely a red flag. I would proceed with caution. People make mistakes and learn from them. Some people do not. People are complicated, and being with toxic people can bring out the toxic in you. The reason she cheated might be more about how bad that last person was than who she is. However, she is definitely capable of it, so watch out for the signs and leave if they appear. Story 31. Oh man, cheating is complicated. Context matters. I know a man who is divorced with 2 children and now married again. He treats his new wife well and says he loves her but still cheats whenever the chance arises. He is over 40. Some people just never change. That is why I say it depends. Story 32. She will tell you if she is serious because that is a stain that will never wash out if you are truly remorseful. I cheated once during a very toxic and unstable period of my life. It haunts me still, and it has been years now. I told my current partner before it got serious. I did not want that to be a secret. I want to take full accountability even if it makes love harder. Some people can never trust you with that history, and that is understandable. Consequences are consequences, period. I think the level of shame and guilt, if one truly regrets it, has a lot to do with whether they will repeat that mistake. I know I will not. Story 33. Truthfully, it generally depends on the person. People learn from experience. The question is, how do you know for sure that they did? Story 34. If she cheated in a past relationship, you can try talking with her about why. If you are not satisfied with her explanation, find the person she cheated on and assess his personality. If he has a good personality, then you could bring it up again with her, but that might be too much. Story 35. I fully believe people can change, but the first step is showing they are willing to try. If she had just told me straight up she cheated in the last relationship because of specific reasons, I would be willing to work with her on that. However, if I have to find out from a third party, then I would feel like she is hiding that from me because she intends to do it again, and I would leave before she got the chance. Story 36. It depends if they learned and grew from it. Many people have done foolish things when they were young and realized later in life how hurtful their actions were. They changed how they would handle such situations in the future. Not everyone is unfaithful for life. Story 37. Not to be judgmental, I wish her the best, but my own history makes that a non-starter for me. Maybe she can be a solid friend, but nothing more. Story 38. Have an honest, open conversation. Things are not always black and white. There is a gray area at times. There might be more to it than just cheating. She may have been young, immature, and foolish. It may have been a way of getting out of a bad relationship. She may just have been a traditional cheater. People can change, but sometimes leopards do not change their spots. Find out. Express your desire to enter into a relationship, but also express your reservations due to her past. Then, ask her for clarity and information about her past and why she cheated. I believe here lies your answer. Be skeptical and analytical to an extent. Do not take people at face value. You need to assess and analyze the information given. This will give you all the information needed to make a logical, mature, and informed decision as to whether entering into the relationship with her is a sensible move. If she is not honest or forthcoming, she may have something to hide, so be wary. She may also fear judgment due to her previous actions, so make sure you build up trust slowly and let her know the conversation is a safe space to open up in. That is, approach with tact. If she is embarrassed by her actions and remorseful, I would trust that she has changed. You have to give the relationship your all to make it work. If you have suspicions now, you will doubt her the entire time, and the relationship will not be healthy. It will be a cesspit of toxicity and emotions. Trust needs to be there fully from the start, and this comes from honesty, openness, and communication. If there is any doubt, there is no doubt. She is what she says, so make an informed decision. Best of luck and do what is best for you. Story 39. I had a 1.5-year relationship with this kind of person. In the last month, she was texting 4 different guys and broke up with me because she did not want to cheat on me. If she did not heal from her last mistake, it is kind of doomed. Do not expect her to change in 1 or 2 years. Story 40. I only have one life, and I am not going to waste it on someone who has already shown that she is willing to betray someone instead of simply ending things cleanly. That is not my choice, even though I am fully aware that she may have changed. I am not that kind of risk-taker. Story 41. Once a cheater, always a cheater. I would normally go by this standard, but if she cheated more than 10 years ago, knows it was wrong, regrets it, has matured as a person, worked through her traumas, and overcome what caused her to behave that way, then maybe she is worth giving a chance. If it was her most recent relationship and it has not been that long, run. She will do it to you too. Cheating is never a mistake or an accident. It is a deliberate choice to betray the person who loves you. And if she cannot even own up to it or admit it, she is not worth your time. Story 42. Why not give her some messy stuff in the present by cheating on her? Just a joke. But I would laugh at that. My real answer is that you shouldn't believe people have changed if they don't fully own their mistakes and are still keeping secrets or lying about them. If they come to me and say, I did cheat, I am ashamed, it's all my fault, no excuses, and I would never do it again, then I would give them a chance. But lying about it shows they still want to misrepresent themselves to you because they know you wouldn't or shouldn't date them if you knew the truth. Story 43. Cheaters cheat. It is betrayal, and once it happens, it becomes a part of their character. Historically, they have it in them to betray. In a world with over 8 billion people, why choose someone you know has this particular defect? Story 44. Cheating is a character flaw, and there is no excuse. The lack of accountability is another red flag. I would walk away. There is one exception. If you were cheated on and you got even before ending the relationship, I am okay with a little revenge. Story 45. I am a firm believer that every situation is different. Use discernment, but no human on earth is perfect. However, they could be perfect for and with you. Story 46. I would know that if that is who she is, I know I will not be the exception. I would take a step back unless I was not going to pursue a monogamous relationship with her. I do know how to have fun and keep it light. Story 47. Already happened. She cheated on me a couple of years in, and that is the only time I could prove. I suspected she was looking because of how flirty she was when we were at conventions, but when I caught her, she knew the situation was over. There is a chance she cheated on him years later. It is not my problem anymore. Story 48. Been there. The girl I really liked was giving me big hints to make my move, like sending me suggestive pictures of herself in the tub. I found out she had a boyfriend, and she told me if I kissed her, it would not be the first time she kissed a guy who was not her boyfriend. I basically did the Homer Simpson thing and sank into the bushes to get away from her. Years later, she has outgrown being difficult, is married with 2 children, and is actually normal. Story 49. I would need to know the reason she cheated and the age at which she did. The younger, the better. I don't think once a cheater, always a cheater, but the question is whether it is worth the risk. Story 50. While I have a boundary against dating most people who have a history of cheating, because my ex-husband cheated on me, I think the bigger concern is that she tried to hide it from you and was not forthcoming and honest. That is very telling that she is still secretive by nature and has not done the inner work of confronting the behavior. Story 51. I am of the opinion that once a cheater, always a cheater. The only exception might be someone who cheated in a high school type relationship and then matured later and now understands that cheating is not acceptable behavior. Story 52. She mentioned messy stuff in the past, but never came clean about it. Would you look past it or walk away? I would be more inclined to give it a chance if it was described clearly instead of as messy stuff in the past without further explanation. That makes it sound like she is hiding something or trying to avoid responsibility for the situation. That alone would make me walk away. Story 53. She will be a changed woman and never cheat again until she has a reason to. It sounds like she does not have good control over her desires. I would walk away. Story 54. You really have 3 choices. 1. Run for the hills. Proceed with blind trust. Have an adult conversation with her about it and see how she reacts. Ultimately, I would be inclined to give it a shot if there were significant mitigating circumstances or she owns it and takes accountability for her choices. Mitigating circumstances include being drugged or assaulted, which obviously would not be her responsibility if it went that way. Story 55. People grow and change. Accountability is important. If she tells me how she was tempted or that her boyfriend was not paying attention to her, I would leave immediately. If she can take responsibility, acknowledge the damage and pain she caused, and has actively worked to understand why and to fix the problem, I can work with that. Story 56. I would never entertain it. If you knew, surely you would be thinking she would do it again. That is just my opinion. We are all different. Story 57. If someone was honest with me about a mistake they made, then I can accept it. We are not perfect and people make mistakes. If someone was not sorry about it or was a serial cheater, then I would probably walk away or not let it get serious. Story 58. I've been through this before. It seemed clear like it was part of her past, but then she cheated on me as well. After we split, she ended up cheating with me too. So yeah, that was a deal breaker for me. Luckily, I don't have to worry anymore as I eventually found a loyal woman and married her. Story 59. I am not continuing because she was not honest about it herself. Getting details from third parties is a sign she is not the right person. Story 60. This makes me think of Ouija by Harley Poe. We'll give each other our second chances. I love that song. Story 61. My naive self wants to believe that people can change and move forward without cheating again. The cynical part of me suggests you keep both eyes open going into this relationship. Story 62. I am loyal to a fault. I would see this as a value mismatch. I would walk away unless she is very attractive, but even then I do not think I would be able to get over it. Story 63. People can learn from their mistakes but have to admit them too. She could be embarrassed, and it is understandable to be so, but if you can find a way to talk about it, how she responds will tell you everything you need to know. Story 64. My attitude to cheating is, if someone has done it once, what is to stop them doing it again? Every time my friends have gotten back with someone who cheated on them before, they cheated again. Story 65. If she cheated in the past but everything else is great, I would trust but verify, and not take her seriously until she comes clean and we spend more time together. I would give her a chance because we all make mistakes, but because of that mistake I am putting up walls. That all depends on how great she is. If it is not close to satisfying, or if I see anything that gives me a solid impression she is cheating, I am out. Story 66. Walk away. If she cheated on someone else, why would you expect it not to happen to you? I am not sticking around on the off chance she has changed. There are plenty of women out there. Story 67. Stay away from there for your peace of mind. It is really difficult for humans to change those behaviors, And apart from that, you will always have the uncertainty of whether he will be unfaithful to you. Your life will be an ordeal. There is no need for that. Story 68. Walk away. My rule is once a cheater, always a cheater. There may be those who have done it and learned from it, but I have found that most people who cheat will do it again. Story 69. Depends on the circumstances of the cheating. Even then, be cautious and keep your mental and emotional state on guard. Be prepared to cut off a potential traitor. Story 70. I would still date but ask for clarification. The lack of honesty and details seems a bit odd. People change over time and learn from mistakes. That is what makes us human. I think it is wrong to hold the past over someone's head and assume they will not change moving forward. Further discussion about details and lessons learned would help you understand your feelings and decide whether to end the relationship or continue pursuing it. The most important factor is whether a lesson was learned and regret is present. However, do not hold it over them or assume they will never change. Story 71. All my feelings would go away immediately. I know this for a fact because it has happened to me. I had 3 dates with a girl and really liked her. We then talked about our past relationships, and she said that her last relationship did not work out because she cheated. I tried to get over it, but I could not. I kept thinking about the pain her last boyfriend would have had when he discovered she cheated. I messaged her 2 days after the date, saying that I could not be serious with someone who has cheated in the past and wished her well. I received around 20 angry messages calling me multiple names I will not repeat here. This showed me once again that cheaters are bad people and will remain bad people. Story 72. Marry them, I guess. My wife cheated in her last relationship. Here's the thing she told me honestly and regretfully while we were dating. It was pretty early on, too. So, while I didn't agree with or condone her actions, I respected the way she handled dealing with the consequences. We made it very clear that we are both not fine with cheating and that if you are going to end the relationship, you should do it first. I am satisfied that she would stick with that. Story 73. If she cheats, she belongs to the streets is my initial reaction because what says she will not cheat on you? This goes for anybody. But then again, people do change and it might just be a one-time thing. I guess just be honest with her about your concerns and such. Hey, you seem like a great fit for us. We just have to work on trust type of thing. Story 74. In my experience, those who have cheated before will cheat again. However, before you rush to any decisions, you need to talk to her and find out what really happened and why. If she is unwilling to discuss it, that in itself is information. You never know, you might get lucky and break up before she has the chance to cheat on you. I was less surprised to find out that my fiancée was cheating on me than I was surprised that she made it to 7 years together before she cheated on me. Story 75. If you are not mature enough to follow the basic premise of a relationship and cannot end a bad relationship before starting a new one, how can I trust you with more difficult responsibilities like finances, raising children, or my healthcare if I become ill? Monogamy is about building a life together. The person who cheats decides to dismantle that life and start over because of temporary desire. That is not acceptable to me. Never will be. Story 76. Cheaters never change. That would be it. I have been with too many cheaters to give them another second of effort. I do not care what the circumstances are. If she is fine with infidelity, then I am not fine with her. Story 77. Ask her about it. She was there and knows what happened. Ask about all the warning signs that led to her decisions and proceed with caution. Story 78. What shows growth to me is being able to identify mistakes and talk about why they happened, the regrets, how one would have changed actions, and what one is doing now to ensure it does not happen again. If someone cheated but tried to hide it, to me they have not learned from it and are more likely to do it again. If they can talk about it and why they might feel ashamed or regret such actions, I see growth. Story 79. If you can be honest about it and accept that I will always be a bit suspicious if there is any doubt, then sure. However, the trust will have to be built steadily and slowly. I say this because I have known people who cheated until they were around 24 or 25 and are now well-adjusted adults. Story 80. What if your partner was involved in an affair while they were single? That is what I am going through. And it is very difficult. Because my partner was complacent in keeping that secret, what if they start keeping secrets from me? Story 81. Two things about cheaters. 1. If they cheat on someone else, they will cheat on you. If they cheat on someone else to get with you, they will cheat on you. Walk away or be with her and then walk away. Story 82. Statistically, people who cheat are more likely to cheat again. Therefore, I would not take that chance. I understand that not everyone cheats a second time, but it still happens. Story 83. I know a person who cheated once in their early years and felt so horrible they never did it again. It really depends on the individual. If they have no moral compass, then definitely steer clear and go the other way. Assess the woman carefully if you are serious about the relationship. It says something that she was not forthcoming. It shows she likes you and did not want to use you, but also that she is manipulative. Take it as you will. People can look past things and have the best relationship they ever imagined. You also have to have a backbone. Good luck. I wish you the best. Story 84. Messy stuff is too vague for me. I would need or want to hear what led to it and why they think it happened. People can also make mistakes and learn from them, so I am not dismissing it instantly. Story 85. Messy situations in the past with no further explanation are a red flag and a hard pass. If she openly admits to making poor decisions and cheating on a person, I would listen to her reasons, but I cannot promise that it would change my mind. Cheating is a pattern of behavior where if it happens once, it often happens repeatedly. Story 86. Cheated as in heat of the moment, or cheated as in side piece. The former I could maybe look past. The latter I couldn't. Story 87. If you can do casual with her, go ahead. If you need it to be exclusive, let her go. If she wants you, she will chase you and then you get to make the choice. But she probably will not, so there is no need to agonize over it. If you can have some fun, go ahead. Take the love you can get, but do not try for the love she will not give you. Story 88. Honestly, I would not be with her because it is a red flag of poor character. I cannot think of a justifiable scenario, and I would expect that when she gets upset or we have issues, she will cheat before trying to really work it out. When looking for a relationship, you want a person to be your rock in that relationship, not just someone who is there when they are happy. Story 89. Her disloyalty to her past partner has nothing to do with her loyalty to you. If she was honest with you about cheating in the past, it would be unfair to hold that against her today. I don't believe in the saying, once a cheater, always a cheater, especially if they have done work on themselves. That said, make sure she has done some self-reflection and has seen the error of her ways. Ask about what has changed. Learn what standards and boundaries she has set for herself to ensure it does not happen again. Creating a secure relationship does not fall on one person, so ask yourself how you are helping to co-create that secure dynamic with her. Story 90. Don't most young people start dating the next person before breaking up with the current person? If you like her, date her. Focus on the short term, not the long term. Consider dates, sex, and having fun, not marriage, children, and retirement planning. Story 91. I cheated in the past, especially in my 20s. I was immature and handled my own issues poorly. I do not cheat anymore. I am a much better man. I am saying this because many people believe that once a cheater, always a cheater, and that is not true. The truth is you cannot know right now if she would cheat on you or not. Sometimes you have to go after what you really want, knowing it might work out or it might not. Story 92. People cheat for a multitude of reasons. I cheated on my ex because I felt like we were already done, just two roommates taking care of kids together. There was no emotional intimacy, just business as usual. Very mundane, quick sex maybe once a month to get me to stop talking about it. I got tired of trying with no reciprocation. I didn't go out looking, but one day it just happened. We had an affair for about 3 years until we both decided it was time to face the music. We have been together for almost 10 years with 2 kids. I can honestly say I have never and will never cheat on her. Sometimes people make bad judgment calls when they are drunk and get dumped for cheating. Sometimes you are just with the wrong person who you thought you were in love with, and everything eventually falls apart. It does not make it right. Cheating is cheating no matter the circumstances. But I don't judge someone based on how they treat someone from their past that I have never met. You never know the circumstances. Story 93. I know that I am likely to be cheated on. I am not special. It is like women who know a man beat the last person he was with but think somehow he will not beat her. If that is something a person will do, then unless they have had some earth-shattering revelation and renounced their previous actions, I would not be surprised to see it happen again. The more you like them, the worse it is going to hurt when it does. Story 94. Honestly, I have seen and heard of so many instances of cheating that I just assume most people have done it at some point, so it would not bother me if she was honest about it. Story 95. Automatic disqualification. Do not care how great she seems. Past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior. Story 96. As usual, Reddit is full of inexperienced people imagining they have seen the whole world. I have a cousin who has been married for about 30 years. He and his wife were both with other people when they met. People change, grow, and find happiness. Many Reddit users repeat sound bites and imagine they have experience. Story 97. I would look past it to be honest. I would tread cautiously, but people grow. Not being able to talk about it is unusual, but if you just started dating, it is not too abnormal. Story 98. Cheating is a huge red flag. Describing it as messy stuff is childish and irresponsible. You can be friends, but I would not want a relationship with them beyond friendship. Story 99. I would like her less, be disappointed, and engage in nothing more than a casual relationship with her since I have zero respect for cheaters. I have played the past does not matter game before, and no, it does matter. If she mentioned messy stuff, I would ask exactly what she meant. If she told me everything, then the same deal applies. Casual fun only. If she responded with, "It is not your business," then the same deal applies again, but I would always use protection and perhaps just stop responding to her. Story 100. I don't believe people change, or maybe they can, but I can't trust someone who does that. If you can, go for it, but it will always be in the back of your mind. I wonder if she's with a man right now and not at work. Too much stress, guy. Find a new one. Story 101. It does not matter what qualities she has. As a man, I think the thought that she has cheated will always be in the back of your mind. Story 102. Maybe I'm shallow, but I'd prefer a never had and never would over a has before but wouldn't again when it comes to cheating. I find the first kind of woman more preferable to be with and think I might have more respect for her too. Now that I think about it, I'd probably prefer her as a friend if she'd never cheated compared to someone who had. It shows a degree of integrity that has been long practiced, which I respect. Story 103. Move on. I have been cheated on before. Cheaters are pathetic and not worth my time. It is not even something I would waste time debating. People very rarely change. You would never feel like you could trust them. There are millions of actual decent people out there I can have a relationship with without worrying about them cheating. Story 104. Cheaters do not exist in a vacuum. There are reasons why, and as long as you know the reason and can manage it, you may be all right. Maybe she was young and naive. Maybe it was a long-distance thing for a long time. Maybe the relationship she stepped out on was bad or toxic. Maybe she cheated after a night out when some other guy took advantage of her compromised state, and as far as her partner at the time was concerned, that was her fault. Unless you have an idea of the situation that led to the cheating, it is hard to say, once a cheater, always a cheater. Story 105. I've spent most of my dating years fully trusting my different girlfriends because I was lucky in that aspect. I knew we were devoted to each other. That changed in the last 2 years with 3 different instances of either being cheated on or women cheating on their husbands with me without my knowledge. I am 40, and my girlfriend is 26. We talked platonically for the first year after meeting, and she cheated in her second relationship, which ended because of it. After that year of platonic conversations, we began to date. Before dating me, she was in a bit of depression and had a friends with benefits arrangement with a guy friend. They would hook up occasionally. I have decided to trust her, but it feels not genuine. More like I decided to overlook it. I am always on the lookout to see if she changes her behavior, but I do not snoop. I also told her the guy had to go. I made some compromises, so we are even. I have my own issues, but cheating is not one of them. We are two people with past mistakes we have learned from and are trying to make it work. Story 106. End it immediately. I have zero tolerance for people who cheat on or cheat with someone they know is in a relationship. People will argue about the validity of once a cheater, always a cheater. But for me, they will always be a cheater because they cannot undo it. It is now part of their life story, no matter how much they change. They did that, and if they cannot be accountable for it, then that is even worse, and I would run, not just walk away. Story 107. If she made the decision to cheat, then no, because what is the difference between me and the other man? Story 108. I am 54 now. When I was younger, I would probably date her anyway. But now, I do not see how I could do it. I would ask her about it and just be honest that you heard she cheated and see what she says. If she actually cheated, then you should not pursue anything with her. If she cheated on that person, she will do the same to you. Story 109. That was my ex. We were together 4 years and ultimately split up because her father didn't want us to marry. In hindsight, I don't regret it since I found better partners, and my current girlfriend is much better. It really depends on the person. It was definitely a red flag for me, but at the time I thought that if she was being honest, she had learned her lesson. I knew she was more laissez-faire about sex and had her share of partners, but her personality seemed to work, and she seemed focused on settling down with someone. There are women in their mid-20s to 30s who run around and then decide they've had enough, just as there are men. It doesn't thrill me, and it doesn't mean it's right. While past behavior can be a predictor of future behavior, it's not a guarantee, and people mature as they get older. I wouldn't outright write off a woman for it if she's honest. I would just be wary and clear-eyed about it and fit that into the overall picture of the person. Even with my ex, her lifestyle and long-term goals weren't the best fit for me, but she is not an evil person. I don't regret dating her. It didn't work out, and in hindsight, that was probably for the best. That is not because she cheated on her boyfriend before me. Story 110. She is great. No, she is a cheater. Smart? No, she is a cheater. Funny? Most women are not. Emotionally connected? How? She cheated. No, thank you. Story 111. Why did she cheat? Was their partner physically abusive, or did the partner cheat first? Those are the only two acceptable answers. If it is just because you were bored, did not respect your partner, were too afraid to break up, or thought you would not get caught, then I want nothing to do with it. Story 112. 100% walk. I was cheated on in a previous relationship. I am struggling to learn to trust my current girlfriend who tells me everything I want to know and is very open and helpful. However, if I were told she cheated in the past, I would never get it out of my head that she is just trying to deceive me and cheat some more. Story 113. It would remain a casual or non-serious relationship. I was cheated on before. I have a zero-tolerance approach to cheating, which I made my now wife fully aware of when we started seeing each other. If you cheat, regardless of the circumstances, it is a fundamental character flaw, and no one is obligated to stay around to see if you have worked on yourself. Story 114. It depends on the details, but the short answer is she goes in the recreational-only category unless I can somehow learn to trust her, which is a high hurdle. If I am going to explore a serious relationship with a woman, it involves a high level of trust. Cheating can sometimes result from difficult circumstances, but it is often a character flaw or coping mechanism. How can I trust that when things get hard, because they do in every relationship, she will not run to another man for comfort and validation? It is just not worth the risk in most cases. Story 115. Been there already. It immediately ended my liking her. I can overlook a lot of things, but cheating is not one of them. Story 116. Never came clean about it is the deal breaker. The only way you can look past someone who cheated is if it happened once, a long time ago, when they were young, and they acknowledge it as a mistake and genuinely feel remorse about it. That said, feel free to be intimate, but do not expect it to go anywhere. Story 117. Knowing now that a first-time cheater is 3.4 times more likely to repeat, I would be very worried about her doing it to me. 3.4 times equates to 340%. Get the full story from her and then verify your own understanding. Some can and do change, but think about all that goes into cheating on a romantic partner. Get the full story of her life and past relationships. Cheaters try to minimize their wrongdoing as if cheating is only a messy event that happened, instead of the actual emotional harm they committed on someone they claim to love. To me, only one type of infidelity could be considered a mistake or accidental. An emotional affair brought on by being groomed. Not getting drunk or using drugs. Be careful. It is easy to tell us what we want to hear, but it is simply more lies. Story 118. If she did it once, she will do it again. You already know the answer. That is why you came here for assurance. Save yourself the trouble, brother. Story 119. It depends on the situation. Was the person abusive or something that would make it difficult to leave the relationship? Or was it just a normal person and things did not work out? If it was the former, I would talk about it and let it go. If it was the latter, I would not get too attached, see how things go, or leave. Story 120. You found out? Who told you? What do they have to gain? I recommend speaking to her if you genuinely care and respect her. How you approach that conversation matters. Story 121. Cheaters cheat. That's what they do. People don't change. I am really disappointed in the number of men who would give that type of woman a chance when there are literally over 100 different women they could date who probably have never cheated. It just goes to show how desire affects men more and more nowadays, making them consider staying with a woman who has already been proven unfaithful. It gets even more concerning when you realize in the original poster scenario, the woman would not even admit it outright. He would have to find out from a reliable source. Men, people do not change that easily, and 99% of the time they do not change until they hit absolute rock bottom. Even then, they might not change. So if she has not hit rock bottom yet, was not honest and upfront about it, and tried to hide it or omitted mentioning it already, why would any man in his right mind consider continuing with her? There are plenty of other fish in the sea. I am guessing this is one of those my friend has this issue. What advice would you give them? Situations. Move on. Block her, do not even go out with her or talk to her again. You deserve someone whose morals and virtues align with your own. Loyalty should be what you are looking for. Not just that she is attractive and you think you can overlook her flaws. Story 122. Once a cheater, always a cheater. If you are a religious person in any way, the Bible tells us that sleeping with an unfaithful woman is essentially adultery. That being said, most women will not be honest about their cheating and their past, so at least she is honest, I guess. Story 123. It's the past. I wouldn't immediately reject someone just because they cheated in a past relationship. Once a cheater, always a cheater is absolutely not true. I have cheated in one relationship and I vowed to myself that I would never do that again. People learn how to be good persons. Life teaches you a lot. Maybe you should ask her about the circumstances of it all. All that being said, I would bat an eye if the person was a serial cheater. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.